Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again. It's so nice to see you back here for another video. My name's Teslark, and today I'm going to show you how you can use glitter, epoxy resin, and alcohol ink to create some really stunning 3D blooms. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more crafting tutorials from me. And just so you know, all of the materials that I use for this project, I will link in the description below. So all of that information will be down there for you if you're interested. And let's go ahead and start crafting. Alright, and today we've actually got a new toy to play with. Resiners was nice enough to send me their resin mixing machine. Thank you so much, Resiners. And I've been having a lot of fun playing with this. Essentially, it's got some silicone paddles and it's really easy to assemble, and you can mix up large volumes of resin pretty quickly and easily. So that's what we're going to do today. I decided I'm going to make a whole pack of coasters instead of just one or two blooms, so we can kind of see how they turn out. Also, we just need some more coasters for the house. So I'm going to be starting by mixing my resin. Today I'm using epoxy resin from Let's Resin, and it's an easy A to B 1-to-1 ratio. So I need 400 milliliters total. So I will be mixing 200 milliliters of my part A with 200 milliliters of the part B. I'm making 4 coasters today, and I like my coasters to be about 100 milliliters thick. So that's why I'm mixing up 400 milliliters total. And when you're measuring out your resin, it's a good idea to work slowly, as the resin is pretty viscous, so it takes a while for it to kind of level out and be where it wants to be. And you do want to get pretty exact measurements, because if your measurements are off, you can have some problems later when it comes to curing. So just take your time with it, make sure you're getting really precise measurements. After I've got my resin measured out, I'm going to go ahead and lift up this machine, and I will be using this to mix my resin. I really like this machine. It's super convenient to have a hands-free mixing system, so then I can go and prep my molds, do other things while my resin is mixing. And I will also have this product linked in the description below, so if you'd like to try it for yourself, that information will be down there. And I also have a discount code that you can use on the Resiners website, so I'll make sure that I list that as well. And just a friendly reminder that if you are liking this video or finding it helpful or informative in any way, please don't forget to give it a like. It not only helps out my channel a whole lot, but it also lets me know that I'm making content that you want to see from me. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. We're so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers on this page, and I couldn't be happier about it. I love watching this community grow. But let me stop yapping and let's get back to this craft. For this project, I'm going to need a little bit of white resin, so I sectioned out a little bit of my resin in just a 1-ounce measuring cup, and to that I'm going to add some Pinata Colors alcohol ink. It's their color Blanco, which is just a white. And it's always a good idea to mix up your alcohol inks before using them, because sometimes the pigment can settle at the bottom. So I just added a few drops of that white to my clear resin, and using a popsicle stick, I'm going to mix it up and make sure that all of that pigment is really thoroughly incorporated into the resin. And you can check to see how opaque or translucent your resin is by just looking at how it looks on the bottom of your popsicle stick. So I'm happy with how this white is, and let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Today I'll be using a sandwich bag as my piping bag, so I'm just going to empty that white resin into that bag using an empty cup. Then I'm going to seal this bag, twist it off, and set it to the side, but I'm not actually going to cut it open until right before I'm ready to use it so it doesn't make a big mess. And then my next step is going to be to prep some glitter for the center of my flowers, and I'm using some chameleon glitter, and it's from a glitter pack by Let's Resin. Again, if you're interested in any of the materials that I'm using, I will have all of that linked down in the description. But I've just put a tiny little bit of glitter into another small measuring cup, and to that I'm adding just a tiny small amount of resin. I want the glitter to be pretty thick, almost like a paste, so it doesn't spread out throughout the entire piece and it stays in the center of our flowers. Next, I'm going to start pouring my clear resin into 4 of these coaster molds. And I'm just going to eyeball it, trying to get each one of these coasters to pretty much the same amount of thickness and use all of the resin that I mixed up previously. Then I'm going to hit these with my heat gun to pop any bubbles that might be forming. And next we'll start adding our glitter to the center of the flowers. And I've had a couple comments asking me how much time I take in between specific steps when I make blooms. And to be honest, I don't really pay too much attention to the time. I also don't pay too much attention to the temperature of the resin itself. However, I do live in a pretty climate environment that stays around 70 degrees. The colors I'm using for today's project are Sunbright Yellow, Tangerine, and Santa Fe Red. Those are all alcohol inks by Pinata Colors. I really like Pinata Colors alcohol inks. I find them to be really pigmented and easy to work with. But I'd also love to hear from you guys. What brands are you using for alcohol inks? What do you like? Let me know. Put me onto some new products, please. But for these flowers, I'm starting with yellow around the center and then going in with the orange and then red around the outermost point, taking my white resin and making a swirl starting from the center and moving my way to the outside, and then using a popsicle stick to drag those lines into the center to make some petal patterns. And I usually like to do my flowers one at a time, but for this project I figured I would do two that I did just one at a time, and then these next two I'm gonna go ahead and layer all of the alcohol ink, and we'll work on the final two together and just kind of see if there's a difference in the end result. So again, I'm just starting with my yellow and putting that right around the outside of the glitter, and then following that with the orange in both of those molds. And then after that, we'll use our Santa Fe Red right around the outskirts of the orange. I also apologize for the horrible positioning of my hand in these shots. I was trying to stay out of the light and just ended up being in the complete frame, so great, that's great. Anyway, next let's go in with our white. So again, just circling, starting from the middle, working our way to the outer edge, and then using a popsicle stick to drag those lines into the center, making a petal formation. One more time here, and let's drag these guys into the center. And after our blooms are all finished up, I will go ahead and cover these up and let them cure completely before we move on to the next step, which will be pouring a background. So hi, we're back again, and these pieces are cured enough to pour their background. I went ahead and pre-mixed 100 milliliters of clear resin, and to that I'm going to add Mattia Black by Pinata Colors, and just a few drops here again, and using my popsicle stick to mix that in. Give me a like if you found that to be satisfying, because I loved watching the way that the color just slowly seeps to the bottom. Let me know. And after I've got that black thoroughly incorporated into my resin, my next step will just be pouring a thin layer of this black on each one of my coasters. And I'm just making sure that I have enough resin here. It's gonna level out, especially after I use my heat gun. It's gonna get a little bit more liquidy and really hit all of those corners. Then I'll let this cure one more time before we pull them out. All right, so I went ahead and I let my pieces cure overnight. They're totally solid, nice and hard. So let's go ahead and pull them out of their molds and see how they turned out. That's how we're looking from the back. Pretty excited. Red and orange, very fitting for October Halloween season. Here's the first one. It's interesting to see how much the glitter went to the front of the mold and the rest of this design kind of stayed towards the back. I'm not mad about it. It looks really cool. It really definitely adds to that sort of 3D effect. I really like it. You also get the pops of yellow and the orange in there. Very cute. I love that this glitter has a slightly orange tone to it as well. Let's keep going. Here's our next one. And I will definitely get some footage of these in the natural light so you guys can see them a little bit better. Oh, this one kind of came out a little funky, huh? You can see how using the same technique, you get different flowers. So if you're still struggling with this technique, don't give up, just keep going. It takes a little bit of practice, and even then your results can be slightly different. So let's pull out this last one. So cute. I like how close this is to the edge. I think I should have pulled my white out a little bit further just so the blooms took up the full space. But overall, I think these turned out super cute. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this project in the comments down below. And please let me know what you're working on this season. Do you have any fun projects coming up for the next couple of months? I always love getting inspired by you guys, so let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for spending part of your day with me, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this video. And if you did make it all the way to the end, leave me some sort of fall-themed emoji or comment just to get into the swing of the season. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!